The story of Diogenes and Alexander the Great. Imagine a serene morning in the ancient city of Corinth, Greece. Gentle golden sunlight cascades over small houses, filtering through cracks in doors and the branches of trees, illuminating every corner. In a secluded part of the city, near a stream, stood an old wooden barrel. Inside it lived Diogenes, a renowned philosopher famous for his ascetic lifestyle and profound wisdom. He lay there peacefully, basking in the morning sun. The simple philosophy of Diogenes. Diogenes was well known for living without attachment to material possessions. He had no house, no wealth, and owned nothing of value except a small wooden bowl for drinking water. One day, however, he saw a young boy playing by the stream. The boy bent down, cupped water in his hands, and drank, his face glowing with pure joy. Observing this, Diogenes had a sudden realization. He picked up his wooden bowl, threw it to the ground, and exclaimed, "How foolish I have been to think I needed this bowl." From that moment on, Diogenes refused to use anything he deemed unnecessary. He lived serenely, unburdened by material possessions or desires, free from the trappings of greed and indulgence. The fateful encounter with Alexander the Great. News of the eccentric philosopher living in a barrel spread far and wide, eventually reaching Alexander the Great, who was then on his quest to conquer the world. One morning, Alexander rode out to meet Diogenes. He was accompanied by a grand entourage, adorned with shining armor and fluttering banners. In the radiant sunlight, Alexander appeared every bit the powerful and commanding figure he was, an image starkly contrasting with that of a philosopher lying in an old barrel, dressed in a simple, tattered garment. Alexander stopped his horse in front of Diogenes, dismounted, and approached him, gazing at the man before him, unkempt, calm, and with eyes that seemed to pierce through the superficial. Alexander spoke with authority. "I am Alexander the Great. Is there anything you desire? I can grant you gold, a home, or anything else your heart wishes." Diogenes slowly lifted his head and looked Alexander up and down. After a moment of contemplation, he replied, his voice gentle yet tinged with subtle defiance, "You need only step aside and stop blocking my sunlight." Alexander, who had conquered vast lands, stood silent, struck by the simplicity and profoundness of the reply. After a long pause, he turned to his entourage and said, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." The lesson from the story. As Alexander's entourage departed, one of his soldiers asked him, "Your Majesty, why did you say that? Diogenes is so poor that he lives in a barrel. How could he possibly be happier than you?" Alexander smiled faintly, though his eyes held a reflective sadness. He replied, "Do you not see? I possess the world, yet I still hunger for more. But he, though he has nothing, understands what it means to have enough. That is true freedom, living with knowing enough in the modern world." The story of Diogenes and Alexander the Great is not merely an ancient anecdote. It carries a timeless lesson about happiness. In today's world, we are often swept up in the race to acquire more, buying homes, cars, and accumulating wealth. But do these things truly bring us happiness? Like Diogenes, happiness does not lie in what we own, but in how we experience life. By pausing to ask ourselves, "What is enough for me?" we can discover a sense of inner peace and contentment. The journey to true happiness. Happiness is freedom from the chains of desire. It does not stem from power, wealth, or possessions, but from understanding oneself and living fully in the present moment. So take a moment, like Diogenes, to let go of the unnecessary and embrace the sunlight of life.